Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the elders of the apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And shout out to Yakim that's going out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth, risking your life and your reputation to do so, as we know that Babylon the Great is being judged, and we can see that over the events that's just taken place. Of course, we pray for our camp that's in Hawaii, but the eruptions have begun, and yet there was an earthquake on the same island that the volcano had erupted, and you can see the lava out there. I'll try to re-upload some video footage of that, as well as reading the articles itself. But man, judgment is befalling America, Babylon the Great, as we know that the White Helmets was exposed for their false flag terrorism. Now they don't even want to pay the White Helmets anymore because they had failed to convince the world of the alleged chemical attack in Duma. And of course there's a lot of blowback over that. Of course it's going to be, because not only is Trump and Benjamin, not a Jew, pushing for regime change in Syria, they're pushing for it in Iraq and in Iran, because they want to control the whole area there. And these places are ridding the region of the terrorist groups that the United States funds. They want America out of there. Well, this doesn't come without war. And so we know that this is the Valley of Yehoshaphat. But, man, it's just, you're seeing the judgment befall this place. So you know that this had already been proclaimed as the 2018 being the year of prophecy. And that's what we've proclaimed, and we're seeing it befall. Judgments are pouring out as the holding hand is letting go. The angels are not holding back the judgments anymore. So that means that we're very close to the elect having been sealed. And the fact that the RFID is becoming more mandatory in other places, and more people are getting them now. RT just did a video showing a man taking the microchip, and so we know that this will no longer be voluntary very shortly here. And so the only thing that's left after those who took the mark is the judgment, the final judgment, which is America, Babylon the Great being destroyed, known as the Lake of Fire. So we're seeing this all creep up, as well as the economy crash. Pretty much this place is being forsaken. People are dumping the dollar because they know it's worthless. It's a hot check. It's a bad check. Who wants to take a bad check? And who wants to go to the U.S. dollar when you're going to get devalued? The dollar value is not of any value. It's pretty much, so that's why Iran and all these other countries are trading without it. And of course, they're going to try to freeze Iran's assets again, saying that Iran lied, and to back out of the nuclear deal, which the nuclear deal was so they could remove the sanctions, so Iran could finally have their money. And Iran's going to find another way to trade, but this is going to escalate the war. Of course, like everything else, though, we know that this has to happen, and that it's the Most High that's guiding this, who has been guiding this thing, So it's time now, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and the confusion that face to be among us, to repent, come back to the law, statutes of the Most High, while this door of mercy is still open, because it's soon to be shut, and the time of Jacob's trouble will begin. They've been predicting the stock market crash of May 2018. That's going to hit in a couple weeks. These tariffs, that's why I reiterate those things. That's why I forwarded those articles and those videos, you got X22 report, and you got others that are looking at the finances, that this place will collapse, and it's been a sinking ship. And now we got 500 subways shutting down. We got places that, you always thought was there, but it ain't there anymore, such as, here in Redding, a lot of local places that used to be there, they ain't there anymore, You can talk about your tackle shops, you can talk about your grocery stores and all that. Man, those are just nothing but empty buildings for rent. Call this number. Rayleigh's downsized to only one store. Wendy's, there's only one Wendy's in Redding now. There used to be two. Long John Silver's is not even in the Reading area anymore. That's totally gone. They used to have one in Reading. That became a Starbucks. And then the one in Anderson became something else. So, you don't even have that. A lot of downsizing, and a lot of places just closed because America is shutting down. And this is a good thing. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Death to America and the 2/3 that don't want to repent. So I hope this has been edified, and shalom.
And so we're back from the brief intermission, and basically that's what I wanted to touch on, the Roman Empire, and show you. And we always, every so often, we'll go back and we'll cover, the Roman Empire to prove to you that, the United States as part of the Roman Empire, because like I said earlier, the members of NATO and the members of EU are basically the same. They're part of the same organization. But the US is a part of NATO, which connects them to the EU. So if they're all one body, because when they go to war under one body. They go under the UN. The UN is a part of that too. That's why they call itself. Sometimes they go under the name of UN forces. Sometimes they fight under the name of NATO, which you have members of the EU, members of NATO, and the United States, which is a member of NATO. So that's the vastness of the revised Roman Empire. So if you can't see that this is the Roman Empire, the last leg of the Roman Empire, and that the last leg of the Roman Empire was going to have control over the whole planet Earth, then you don't understand what the hell's going on. Okay? So now, you got anything?
No.
All right, now I want to deal with these tribes, and these are the last tribes that the last four tribes we didn't deal with. The tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Simeon, the tribe of Levi, and the tribe of Manasseh. Now, when we break down Simeon and Levi, it's pretty much they're pretty much the same, because it tells you that they lived on the same island. So the two tribes pretty much run into each other. And Manasseh, pretty much those prophecies fit Ephraim, because Manasseh was the older brother to Ephraim, but Ephraim became the greater. All right? So we want to start with the tribe of Benjamin. The tribe of Benjamin, let's go to Genesis, the 49th chapter, and I believe that's the 27th verse.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil.
Read that again.
Benjamin shall raven as a wolf.
Now, what you're going to have to do is look up the word raven. And I believe you got to go, because if you got to look hard enough at the word raven, because raven will say one thing and won't give you the full definition. If you look up the word raven, I believe it's under the Webster's Dictionary. You go to that and see what it says. Yeah. Because what you're going to find out, the word raven means to tear, like a wolf. When they catch their prey, they tear the prey apart. But it also means utterance. So in this case, with Benjamin raven as a wolf, meaning he's going to utter by song, by poetry, by speech, that Babylon, which is America, must fall. And back now they're doing all this booty shaking bullshit like Judah up here in the States. But years ago, it seemed like every song was about the downfall of Babylon. Babylon must fall. All right. This guy, what's his name? Benjamin Decker. Who wrote that song? The Israelites. Desmond Decker. Desmond Decker. Back in the '60s, he wrote this song called the Israelites, right? And then that kind of set a trend of them speaking about that they're the tribes of Israel. You know, they spoke about the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, but they equated the conquering line of the tribe of Judah to Haile Selassie, which he's not of our people. He's going into slavery, all right? But most of those songs is about Babylon must fall, all right? Fire must hit Babylon and so forth. There's several songs on that, man. All right, you got it out?
I tried going to Webster's and wouldn't let me go there, so I'm dictionary.
Okay.
These are the definitions it has for raven. Now I put raven spelt pursuant to Genesis 49:27. Raven spelled R-A-V-I-N, and I put it in dictionary.com because I went to Webster's and nothing wouldn't come up. Now this is what it says. It says to seek, plunder, or prey, to eat or feed voraciously or greedily, to raven like an animal, to have a ravenous appetite, to seize as spoil or prey, to devour voraciously, rapine, robbery, plunder, or prey. Pretty much the same thing. Now we know it also means to utter, so I'm going to keep looking and.
Right, because at one, like the Elder Tar was saying, at one time, you know, you had the tribe of Benjamin, and that's all the songs they used to make. You know, the majority of the songs, should I say, they used to make about Babylon being destroyed and falling down. They knew that America was Babylon. You know, that's why the scriptures call Benjamin, and the name Benjamin comes from the Hebrew word Banyamyan, which the word Banyamyan, the word Bun means son, and Yamyan means right, son of the right. Why? Because of the fact that the name that they had, basically out of all the tribes, they were really one of the tribes that really brought out like these songs and always quoting scriptures in their songs, you know. Like Judah, they'll make songs and stuff like that, and the gospel and all that. But Benjamin's main theme back then, especially when they used to make songs, was making songs about the Most High, songs about the destruction of America, songs about Psalms, you know, different Psalms in the Bible. They used to make songs about that, you know. So that was a part of the prophecy of their name, which goes back to a term that Elder Gabar likes to use a lot, called nomen omen, which is a name prediction. So by Benjamin being called Banyamyan, or son of the right, you could see in the actions, or at least in the songs that they brought out, that they were close to the Most High. You know, but just like all the other tribes, you know, all the tribes went off, you know, we were all close to the Most High, but at one point or the other, you know, we all went off, you know. So that's what the name Benjamin means, you know. And then when it says that they shall raven like a wolf, meaning they're going to get together like in packs, and they're going to be chanting songs against America, which is known as Babylon the Great. That's why you always see, like even in that movie Marked for Death, you know, when Steven Seagal went to go see Screwface, and then Screwface was disappearing through the corridors, and in the background on the wall there was like some graffiti written up there, some cheesy graffiti, but it said Babylon gonna fall. You know, in other words, Babylon is gonna fall. You know why? Because they always that was one of their major mottos. So that's being that that's one of their major mottos. That's what they sang as they were ravening as wolves, true to the prophecy that was written of them, you know, in the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter. Because you have to remember that the things that were written in Genesis, the 49th chapter, they weren't written about during the time when Israel took over the land of Canaan from the Canaanites, because these prophecies didn't happen back then. These were future prophecies that even the tribes when Jacob was speaking to the tribes, they didn't understand what he meant by those things, because he was speaking in the spirit. He was speaking in the spirit about future prophecies that were going to take part in this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered, I think it was back in the 70s, you had this group named Steel Pulse. And Steel Pulse, they're Benjamin, they come out of the tribe of Benjamin. They had a song called Ravers, alright? And you listen to the song, it talks about ravening, getting into the spirit of, utterance and partying and all of that. And that coincides with Genesis 49:27 when it speaks about raven. And that's like a saying down there in the islands, ravers, ravening, so it all ties in,
And it's not because they read in the scriptures about Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. It's spiritual. And then if you look at some of the products that they make down there, they're named Benjamin. Some of the products that they use, it's a common name down there. Just like among Ephraim, you have the word Ephraim or Ephraim with an N at the end. It's a common name among the tribes of Ephraim. Benji.
Yeah, the name Benjamin, particularly in Jamaica, named Benji, Benji is a common name.
It's not a coincidence. So that's why Jacob was gathering his sons together to tell him things that were going to befall him in the future. The same thing when Joseph brought Ephraim and Manasseh before Jacob to get a blessing. What did he say? He said, as for these two, Ephraim and Manasseh, they are mine, just like Benjamin and Levi are mine. So what was he saying? In essence, he said that Ephraim and Manasseh were going to become a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. And then he told Joseph, any other seed that comes out of you, they shall be your children. But as these two here, these are mine. And that was, the Lord used that in the spirit, because in the future, those two children were going to become two of the tribes of the nation of Israel. Alright? And all the things that were written of them in prophecy back then, dealing with prophecy, dealing with characteristics, dealing with the mannerisms and the way the way that they would conduct themselves, the places that they were going to be living, their surroundings, the fruitful lands that they were going to be in, the mineral resources that were going to be given to these tribes, the calamities that were going to fall upon them. Through the Spirit, Jacob was telling them all these things, and he broke it down tribe by tribe. He began with Reuben, because Reuben was the firstborn, and he gave Reuben the prophecies that were going to happen to his children and his tribe. Then he went down the line. He went to SIMEON, Levi, Judah, and he went straight on down the line. And the last of his children that was born was Benjamin.
And they don't put the so-called white.
Right, and none of those characteristics in Genesis 49 or Deuteronomy 33 fit the so-called white man. Right. All right, because you got this bullshit called British Israelism, where the so-called white man, which is that Elder Tahar spoke about, the guy at the Worldwide Church of God, with that guy Armstrong, he adopted that philosophy about the 10 tribes being those so-called Europeans.
I could say this. Well, first of all, the word British, to be British means to be an Israelite, because the word British comes from the word Barath, which means a covenant, and Ish meaning man. All right, covenant man. Who are the men of the covenant? The Israelites.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a word, but I ran across it, and the word basically means to tear, but it also, if you look hard enough, the word means to utterance. So when you look up the word utterance, it means to chant, to sing, to say, to speak on something. So Benjamin is going to actually tear, but before he tears, he's going to raven, which means to utter, to sing those songs about Babylon must fall. You know, get that frenzy going of Babylon must fall. All right? Now let's read it again.
Just like a pack of wolves when they get together.
Just like a pack of wolves. Before they do something, they howl. And before they tear you to pieces, they howl and they let you know we're coming to get you. All right? Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide.
And then if you Benjamin and you know how the gangs work, that's how they operate, man. In the daytime they'll jack you up, and then at night they'll say meet me somewhere at night, and they'll divide the spoils against amongst each other. But really, on the bigger picture, when they read that part again,
it says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil.
Right. In this sense, the prey is talking about Esau and Babylon. So in the morning he's going to do what? He's going to devour, he's going to destroy the prey, and at evening he shall divide the spoil. The morning is talking about the morning of our kingdom. When our kingdom, when our new day comes in, that's when the sun comes up, so to speak. That's our morning. Now the night part of dividing the spoils is talking about Esau's night. Because this guy, what's his dude? He's a faggot from England. He sung the song "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." Elton John, he sung a song called entitled "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." You know, and that's basically symbolic for Esau's society going down. What did the British say about the empire? They said the sun will never set on British soil, right? What did they mean by that? That means that their society wasn't going to go down, because in England you have the sun goes down, it comes up. The sun is a bigger meaning. It's talking about their society. Once your sun is up, that's the height of your society. So the morning is talking about our morning. When the sun is coming up for us, that's when this man's going down. And the night, when we divide the spoils, is when Esau's sun goes down. That's what it's talking about. Because give me the book of, because what are we doing right now? We're working, right? We got to work. We got to work, or we got to do some illegal activity in order to make our money. And you got to work hard too with these damn taxes that I read about earlier. Give me the book of St. John, the 9th chapter and the 4th verse. Because we're working right now, right? Didn't it say in Job, the 20th chapter and the 21st verse, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. And it says, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Now, if you look up the word wicked in Job 20:22, the word wicked means laborer, worker, toiler. So that's talking about us. It ain't talking about an actual wicked destroying the wicked. It's talking about us, the workers. So now, when our kingdom comes, are we going to work? No, we ain't going to work. We're going to have slaves working for us. So when our kingdom comes, what time of day is it going to be for Esau? His night, right? So in the kingdom of heaven, when we bring this man down, are we going to get up, set the alarm to get up and go to work? No. Now let's get that scripture.
We're going to be working on him. John chapter 9 verse 4. I must work the works of him that sent me.
Right, so the Lord is doing the work. Just like when we go out here on the highways and the byways and do the works of the Lord, we're actually working, man. When you're out there in the hot sun, you're standing up like a security guard. What does a security guard do? He stands up and he watches, right? He's not really working, but he's working. So we out there on the highways and the byways, that's work. And we out there for hours, man. That's actual work. Go ahead.
I must work the works of him that sent me.
Now, when the Lord came on the scene, what did he do? Did not he go on the highways and the byways and preach the word outside? So you got these guys saying you don't have to do that. Well, the best example is Yahweh Shai. The best example is the apostles, because they all did that. They was all outside and they all prophesied outside just like we doing. Go ahead.
I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day.
While it is day. What day is it? The day is talking about Esau's day. It's still his day. When the Lord was speaking, what day was that? The day of the Roman Empire. Because we're not going to be working. We're not going to be out there. We're not going to set up camps in the kingdom of heaven. Go ahead.
The night cometh when no man can work.
Right. The night cometh when no man can work. Read that again.
Right. It says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work.
That's right. And the night is coming. Now I want you to go from there to the book of Matthew, the 25th chapter. And I don't want to go to the first verse. I want to go down a couple of verses. Was it Matthew 25? Start from the 4th verse.
Okay, Matthew 25 verse 4. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept.
That means we went into captivity. Esau beat the Hebrew Israelite out of us. So we couldn't speak Hebrew. We couldn't keep the Sabbath because Esau took all that away. We couldn't call upon the name of the Lord because Esau took all that away. All right? Go ahead.
It says, and at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. It says, and at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. I say unto you, I know you not. Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh.
Yeah, so when is he going to come? At midnight. What is the midnight talking about? Midnight is pitch dark. So it's talking about the night. It's talking about Esau's night. Because a couple of hours, the sun come back up. That's our sun coming back up. Go back to midnight again.
Right, it says, and verse 6, and at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye to meet him. Right,
so the cry, we're making the cry. When we go out there and we teach this word, we're trying to wake up all the tribes. It's happening when? At midnight, when this man's going down to get ready for what? The morning. So we're in that time right now. All right? So that's what that word night means. He divided the spoils in the night. That means when this man goes down in his night, which is our morning, it's going to be the kingdom. All right? All right, go ahead.
Lamentation chapter 2 verse 19. Arise, cry out in the night, in the beginning of watches, pour out thine heart like water.
Right, the night is talking about Esau's night. Go ahead.
Arise, cry out in the night, in the beginning of the watches. Pour out thine heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hand towards him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street.
Right, that faint for hunger is talking about what? Hunger of this truth. You got guys that call themselves reading the scriptures. You don't go out there and feed the people. You had some groups out there, including your Bar, that would go get food and have people line up and give them food. You ain't supposed to be giving them food. That's not your job. Your job is to give them this food. Read it again.
It says, arise, cry out in the night, in the beginning of the watches. Pour out thine heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hands toward him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street.
In the top of every street. So where do we go out and teach? On the top of every street. All right? All right.
Yeah, because Elder Tar said you're not supposed to be out there handing Thanksgiving turkeys and all that crap, you know. John 6:27, it says, labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for the meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him hath the Most High the power sealed. Now if I go to 26 verse, it says, Yahushua answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me not because ye saw the miracles, but because ye did eat of the loaves and were filled. And you had that back then, even as you have today. People just come, you know, they see what they can get, a freebie or a bread, a handout. And it proceeds to say, labor not, this is what Yahushua said, labor not for the meat which perisheth, that's the freebie, you know, but for the meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which is his truth, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him have the Most High the power sealed.
That's right. So we're not supposed to go out there and feed the people, man. We are supposed to feed them, but we're supposed to feed them with the truth. But they're not looking. You don't see the masses coming to us like they used to years ago. Because they're not getting the entertainment that they're getting. Most of them is getting cursed out. You know, at one time, 3 years ago when we started this on YouTube, this thing was hot, man. But then you got a lot of people through the years that fell off, went back in the world that's getting weary of this thing. The same thing with GMS Tube. GMS Tube, you had almost 1,500 people subscribe. So when we said, look, we got to pay for this thing, so we asking you to send money, all right? And if you didn't send no money, we would have to cut you off because we couldn't keep it up. The majority of the people, what was like 10% of the people was with it, and they send some type of money, but the other the 90%, they just said fuck y'all. So you know what we say to y'all? Fuck y'all too. All right? Because you really didn't want this truth. You wanted a damn freebie, man. You wanted to be entertained, but you're gonna get entertained very soon. You're gonna be part of the entertainment.
Yep, them concentration camps going to entertain you. The chip, and then ultimately the missiles. You're going to get plenty of entertainment.
Now, they got this on YouTube. They got Your Slut, right? And we were the ones that it came on our site, all right, that they suspended. Because what they did was they said, look, if you don't take that video down, we're going to suspend your thing. So the brothers said, okay, I'll take it down. And then they wound up suspending that site anyway. And then people started talking shit. I see you bunch of punk ass motherfuckers, you took the site down. So somebody else got the site up. But now all of a sudden it's not offensive because people like to get on there and talk shit about us, man. There's over 100,000 hits on that thing. But that was part one, right? Then there was a part two. Now in part two, it was dedicated to the chip, how the chip was going to come, and we proved that Revelation, the 13th chapter, is talking about the very chip. So that You're a Slut video, part one, was a stumbling block to you, so you don't get to the next video. So the Most High got you niggas good, man, because when they push that chip out, you're gonna accept that chip because you're not gonna know that it's in the scriptures that say you're not supposed to accept that chip. So when we see you niggas online accepting that chip, we're gonna drink to you accepting that chip. We're gonna laugh at you niggas accepting that chip. Okay? And don't say, well, you shouldn't laugh at Israel. Well, guess what? The angels, the heavenly, righteous, perfect angels are gonna laugh at your ass. And the Most High gonna laugh at your ass. And we're gonna laugh right along with the Most High and the angels.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Elder Tar said he wanted the Most High to get Jake. Hey, that's how we feel, man. Hey, because the prophet Jeremiah, which I happen to be reading Jeremiah right now, he was always cursing out Israel, man. He was always crying against Israel to the Lord. And basically he hated, let me say how it is. Basically, he hated Israel, all right? Jeremiah hated Israel. Now make a video on that, man. All right? Jeremiah 3:15, it says, "And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding." It didn't say Thanksgiving turkeys. It said knowledge and understanding.
That's right. So now let's get back into Benjamin, all right? Now we just hit Genesis, the 49th chapter, the 27th verse. Now let's go to Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter, in the 12th verse.
Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 12. "And of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders."
Now, there are some breakdowns talking about the shoulders represent America's the head, then lower part of the body, and then where Benjamin is, that's the shoulders. That's not talking about that. The shoulders is talking about the Most High is going to take care of you. He's going to put you up on his shoulders. That's why he called you his beloved. Now Esau, what he wanted to do to all these tribes was really massacre them, destroy them, do away with them as a people. Benjamin is not that big. They don't have no great army. They don't have an army, period. So why hasn't Esau taken them down? Because the Most High is with them, man. And we don't got to go into the geographical area, because we know that all the tribes came to that same geographical area, which is the Americas, all right, on the Western Hemisphere. It tells you that in the book of Baruch in the Apocrypha, about going from the east to the west. So we know we're on the western side of this world, of this planet, which consists of Canada. You got a lot of Benjaminites up in Canada. You got a lot of Ephraimites up in Canada. You got a lot of Levites up in Canada. You got nothing but Gad up in Canada. Then you go down to the so-called U.S. Below south of Canada. All right, that's also on the western hemisphere of this planet. Then you got Central and South America. That's all on the western part of this world. So all these prophecies fit us. It points right to us. It doesn't point to the so-called Jews. Go ahead.
Exodus 19:4. "You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself."
That's right. Now let's go back to where we left off in Deuteronomy 33 and 12.
Deuteronomy 33:12. "And of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders."
And he shall dwell between his shoulders. Now jump down to the 27th verse.
Verse 27. "The eternal power is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms."
Pretty much says the same thing. And underneath are his everlasting arms. So if he's holding you in safety, he's bearing you. He's got his arms around you. You know how you carry a box on your back and you got your arms to wrap it around? That's what the Most High is doing to Benjamin. That's why Esau couldn't destroy Benjamin. Go ahead.
It says, "And he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy them."
Right, that's going back to the scripture about the in the morning they shall take the prey, and in the evening they shall divide the spoil. That's what it's talking about. He shall destroy the enemy. Okay. Now let's go from there to we're going to deal with SIMEON and LEVI. See, the main point in the tribe of Benjamin is a ravening as a wolf. All right. Like I said, check out what a wolf does. Before a wolf, first of all, they move in packs. That's how Benjamin move, in packs. When they go to get you, if you mess with one of their family members, they're going to be a whole posse to get your ass. But before they do that, they're going to make a lot of noise and scare the shit out you before they actually tear you to pieces. That's what the wolf does, and that's what Benjamin is getting ready to do to Esau. All right? Let's go to the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter. Did you got the verse? Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 49 verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly, mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they digged down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel.
Read that again.
Simeon and Levi are brethren.
Now what it means by brethren, we're all brethren. All the tribes are brethren, but what it means by brethren is that there are two tribes on the same island. But there's a like a barrier right there. So you got Simeon on one side and you got Levi on the other side. That's what it means by their brethren. Go ahead.
Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations.
Now that's talking about this story of this Canaanite that had sex, entice Dinah, the sister, the only woman child of Jacob. And what happened was the Levi and Benjamin, they didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that, especially a Hamite, laying down with their daughter. So what they did was, they said, look, you can marry our daughter, but you and all your people all your men got to get circumcised. So they said, okay, we'll get circumcised, because they had servants, so they wanted to have sex with the servants of Jacob. All right, because we had servants with us. So what happened was, it was a setup. When they were sore, that's when Benjamin and Levi and their men attacked them and slaughtered. It was a great slaughter, and that was cruel. But guess what? So what, man? It was cruel. They did it to a damn Canaanite. Motherfucker, goddamn Canaanite, man. But the reason why Jacob, lost it, because, man, you are rocking the boat, so to speak. Because we got to live here, man. Because all we're going to have is nothing but wars against these surrounding nations and these tribes and so forth.
They were small at that time.
And they were small at that time. Go ahead.
It says, O my soul, come not thou into their secret.
Now, their secret is talking about what? Their voodoo. In other words, on the Levi's side, you have that voodoo, that heavy witchcraft. Now on Simeon's side, you got the same thing. It's called Santeria and Brujeria. Now the word Brujeria means like the brew, or witchcraft. Because what does a witch do? She puts together. She takes the cauldron and she makes a brew, and she uses it to put spells on you. So that's why they call it Brujeria, which means witchcraft or Wicca. So they prayed after Satan, but they put saints in front of them. They put Saint Mary and Saint this, but they're really demons that they're worshiping. Okay? So that's their secret. Okay, go ahead.
O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly.
Right, their assembly, because they have those meetings and where they get together in their churches. And they'll have old women smoking cigars. They'll wear the Gadite headdress. They'll take a goat and they'll slaughter the goat or a chicken. They'll pull the chicken's head off. And then there's an account where Levi, on the righteous side, one of the purifications to Israel was to take a chicken and take the chicken's head off and sprinkle the blood over Israel. So they still do that to this day. Because how'd they know to call on them gods? Because they knew that back on the righteous side, back when they was in their right mind. So they do those same rituals, but they do it in the name of a strange god. So that's their secret, that you shouldn't come into their assembly. Another thing that they got big, this is among Simeon and Levi and the other Latin tribes, are these things called botanicas. When you go up in there, if you lost your job, they give you a candle. You light this candle, and then you get a job. Or if you want to get a man, or for women, because mostly women go up in there. They'll give you a certain candle, and you light that candle, and you do a certain prayer, and you dress up all in white, and then you get the man of your dreams. So that's their secret, their witchcraft, following the left-hand side. Go ahead.
Mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall.
That's going back to that situation with their sister Dinah. Go ahead.
May I say this all the time? Right where it says, "Be not thou united." They live on the same island, but they don't get along together. Because the Dominicans, they call the Levites, they call the Haitians, they call them Cushon. Now the word Cushon means pig. So whenever they see them, they'll call them that because there's rivalry between the two. But they're brothers. They live on the same island, but they don't get along. That's why the Lord said, "Be thou not united."
We estranged people, man. Yep. Go ahead.
It says, and the reason why I know because we had this one Levite dude in our camp, but he's not around anymore. You know, we had to give him the boot, you know, through the Spirit of the Lord. But we went into this bodega up there in Simeonville, up there like around 200th Street, you know, where that bridge connects the Manhattan to the Bronx. And when we went up in the store, the Dominican dude said, "You Haitian?" He said, "Yeah." So he said something to him in that patois, in that French. And then the dude that was with us, he went back, you know, he said something back to him in the patois. And I was like, "Yeah, that's right," you know, because I didn't know what was going on. But he answered him, you know, in the same language. And then he came back to me and said, "You know what he said?" He said, "I'm a pig," in French. He said, and he explained to me that there's that rivalry going between the two, it's Simeon and Levi. Verse 7, "Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel."
Yeah, because back in the ancient world, Levi didn't have their own inheritance, meaning their own land. So they were scattered, and they were living in the suburbs. And they were living good. So they were mingled among all the tribes. Some were living around among Judah. Some were living around Benjamin. Some were living around Ephraim. So when they had that split, it was Jeroboam that you had Levites that was with them other tribes that went with Jeroboam, but Jeroboam said, "No, you go back with Judah, the kingdom of Judah." And then what happened was Jeroboam had said, "Okay, any of y'all can be priests." So they had Gad being priests. They had Ephraim being priests. That's why of all the tribes of Israel, they all have their spiritual priesthood. Because the Levites had left, so they call themselves trying to do the job as a Levite. They wasn't set up to be the Levites. All right? Is there more to that? Or you got something? That was it on that. All right. Now, being that they did that, the Most High scattered them. That's why you got Simeon all over the damn place, man. You got Levi all over the place. I happen to be of the tribe of Levi, and my family is basically Judah. I'm the only Levite in my family, and that's how Levite was scattered. You got Levites out there that you swear are Judah because they grow up in Jake families or even Ephraimite families, and they'll speak that Puerto Rican perfectly, but they're really Levite. So that's a fulfillment of prophecy right there. Now let's go from there to Hosea 4:1. Because they were at one time they were priests unto the Most High on the right hand side, but now they're no longer priests. They're priests of the spiritual demon Satan right now, because they're still doing those spiritual things, but they're doing it based upon the power of the left hand side. All right, Hosea 4:1.
Hosea chapter 4 verse 1. "Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land. By swearing and lying and killing."
Yeah, because Levi, his job as a priesthood was to bring justice. If you had a matter, you would go to the priest. Go ahead.
By swearing and lying and killing.
And that's what Levi is doing right now. That's what Simeon's doing right now. Simeon, what they have is their God, the number one God that they believe in is Michael, Saint Michael, or Michael the Archangel, but it's a goddamn cracker with blonde hair and blue eyes wearing a fucking skirt that looked like he jumped off of a damn float at the gay parade. But you got Simeon blacker than coal, man, driving a damn taxi with supposedly Michael right there being a damn co-pilot. It's a goddamn shame the way our people is so messed up in the damn brain, man. Go ahead.
It says, by swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out.
And they all do that, man. The Simeonite women, man, they'll deal with their husband, then they'll go out and get a job, and they go out of state and dance in the damn strip club, man. Or work in the damn whorehouse. And they'll do 8 hours, and they'll come home, and they'll kiss their husband, and they'll cook food for him. You know, he'll come back from work, and she'll come back from work, but he don't know that she's working at a damn strip joint. Or she's working a night shift, where she leaves late at night when he's coming in, and she'll say, well, I left you some fandango. What was that? Mondongo. Mondongo. So he's all happy, kisses his wife, then she goes to do the night shift, and the night shift is dancing around the goddamn pole. I know that for a fact, because I know.
On a ravaged hillside in Port-au-Prince, the earthquake revealed a once-hidden voodoo temple, where Christian icons and pagan symbols combine. Mahugan, a voodoo priest, unwraps a voodoo doll where he claims he deposits evil spirits. He says his healing work saved his life. I must have done a lot of good with my voodoo, he says, because the earthquake didn't kill me. But at the Assembly of Jesus Church in Port-au-Prince, Pastor Pierre David blames voodoo for the destruction. I do believe that the quake came because of voodoo, he says, because they did a lot of bad things. Now it's time that Christ takes over. Both Christian and voodoo leaders say that's exactly what's happening. Pastor David says thousands of voodooists, like former Hugan Patrick Godet, have converted to Christianity in his area. I used to practice voodoo. I used powers that are negative, he says, and then my friend Pastor David showed me the power that is in Christ. But the voodoo leadership says a different power is at work. Aid. They claim that some Christian groups withheld emergency food and medicine from voodooists in an attempt to win converts.
The true way of life, the Christian way of life, or the voodoo way of life. That is the choice.
We spoke with Max Beauvoir, the Ati, or supreme leader of the voodooists in Haiti.
Are Christian groups trying to buy souls in Haiti?
Yes, they have tried to buy souls. They believe that souls are sellable. But it's one of those commodities that cannot be sold.
Churches say they've been lending a hand to all Haitians, but many Christians believe that their path is the right one, that all voodoo followers should join their flock.
Despite a history of religious tension, many Haitians we've spoken to say that this earthquake was so devastating and affected people of all religions that now is the time to rebuild and unite. Billy McKenzie, CNN.
I know they're women and I know they're men.
And that's one thing Elder Tara always says. In order for you to really fully understand the tribes and what these scriptures mean, you have to actually know or lived around these tribes to know how their characteristics are.
That's right. Okay, let's go ahead.
It says, and by lying and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for the people are as they that strive with the priest. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother.
Yeah, because they didn't have no prophets down there in Haiti, man, in Port-au-Prince, because the prophet would have said, look, there's going to be an earthquake. You better go over, you better go to the mountains. They ain't have no prophets. They ain't have no priests. The head priest of the Roman Catholic Church was this Levite dude, and he got crushed along with his priest in that damn church. So it was beautiful that earthquake took place, because they're following some Roman Catholic God, man, which they're worshiping Satan. And then after the earthquake hit, they're praying to the same Roman Catholic God. So you getting jacked up because of your wickedness. Go ahead.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Why you got jacked up in that earthquake? Because you destroyed for lack of knowledge. Ain't no prophet down there went and told you that there's going to be an earthquake. Or come back, you're Levites. Go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
Right, you rejected the knowledge of the Most High. Go ahead.
That thou shalt be no priest sorry, let me read that again. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power.
So who are the priests? The tribe of Levi. That's the only tribe that could be a priest. So the Lord said there's no more priests. Because you you might call yourself a priest, but you a priest in that Roman Catholic bullshit. Go ahead.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also...
Right, you ain't keeping the law. You eating pork. Go ahead.
I will also forget thy children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame.
So Levi's glory was changed into shame along with the other tribes. Okay? Now when you go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, all those, that whole chapter is assigned to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Because not just Judah came over here in ships, it was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Because the other tribes are already here on the other side of the world. You got something? Go ahead.
This is the book of Malachi 2:7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge. Okay, I'm sorry. You want it now? Or you got something else?
Matter of fact, go to that since you got it. Give me Malachi. Start at the top verse. Okay. No, because the whole chapter, there's good points in there, but the whole chapter is good, so we're going to try to read the whole chapter. Malachi 2:1.
Malachi chapter 2 verse 1. And now, O ye priests, this commandment...
Which are the Levites. Go ahead.
This commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you. And I will curse...
Was not that earthquake a curse? Was not the fact that they were eating, prior to the earthquake, they were eating mud cakes. And what's mixed in mud? A man shits, he don't got a toilet, he shits in the street, and that mingles with the mud. That's what mud is. They tell you when you look up the word mud, it means dirt, soil, and water. No, mud is shit, pee, piss. Go ahead.
I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces.
And spread dung upon your faces. What is dung? Dung is shit. In the form of mud, in the form of real dung. Man shit. And that's a fulfillment of prophecy of Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, the 9th verse to the 14th verse. So it was prophesied that we was going to all eat shit. All eat mud, all eat dung. But you know what? Levi was going to actually eat mud.
Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 9. Take thou also unto thee wheat and barley, and beans and lentils and millet, and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make the bread thereof, and make the bread thereof, according to the number of the days that thou shalt be upon thy side. 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time shalt thou eat it. Thou shalt drink water, or thou shalt drink also water by measure, the 6th part of an hin. From time to time shalt thou drink. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of man in their sight.
Now the word dung means shit. So the Lord actually told Ezekiel to eat man shit and make like a cake out of it with the wheat and the body. Bali. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Then said I, Our Lord, power, behold, my soul hath not been polluted. From my youth up, even until now, have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth.
Well, guess what? All the tribes, they eating abominable flesh. They eating pig, they eating lobster, they eating shrimp, they eating squid, they eating octopus. All the tribes is doing that. The only ones that's not doing it is the ones that woke up to the fact that they're Israel. But you might have Israelites out there that's still eating pork on the damn sneak and got a taste for shrimp. Oh, the Lord ain't gonna see me. Let me go eat this shrimp. Go ahead. That's why the Lord gotta fuck you Israelites up, man. Go ahead.
Then he said unto me, Lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith.
Yeah, because he wasn't going to eat the man's dung. So the Lord said, okay, eat cow's dung. And guess what? He actually ate it. Go ahead. What verse is that?
Verse 16.
Go ahead.
Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care. And they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment, that they may want bread and water, and be astonished one with another, and consume away for their iniquity.
And consume away because of their iniquity, man. You got a lot of our people that's catching hell, but they don't want to come back to the Lord. Now let's go back to Malachi 2, where we left off.
Malachi chapter 2 verse 3, Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feast, and one shall take you away with it. And you shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The Lord...
Right, because at one time, during the time of the Levitical priesthood, they feared the Most High. They knew the Most High's name. They kept the laws and commandments. And there were certain laws unto death. And who were the ones that put you to death? The Levites put you to death. Go ahead.
It said, the law of truth was in the mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. But ye are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the...
That's the Haitians right now. Because they went off, that's why they're catching hell, man. It's a known fact that that's the poorest nation in the on the western hemisphere, or in the western hemisphere. Why? Because of them heavy-ass curses, man, that the Most High brought against you. Go ahead.
But ye are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law.
Right, and that's what they're doing, by making you follow that voodoo nonsense, man. Those feasts, what is that, the rah-rah, those feasts, they make you follow that feast, and then if you call yourself being righteous, you follow the ways of the Roman Catholic Church. But anyway, I'm going to pass it to this brother so he can read that article on the mud cakes.
The name of this article is Dirt Cakes and Ding Dongs, Haiti and U.S. Face Unique Food Crisis. With my appetite sufficiently dampened by the up-to-the-minute reports of McCain's facial growth, this story erased it completely, and the picture reduced me to tears. These children live in the Haitian Port-au-Prince slum of Cité Soleil, which is City of the Sun. Some kids make mud pies for play, but children in the picture survive on dirt cakes. They eat them. You'll see the picture. Like in the pictures below, the cakes are modeled of mud and fat and allowed to dry in the sun. Which do like fat. Yep.
Fat is shit. When you go to the bathroom, you got some people that go to the bathroom and their waist goes to the bottom, right? Some of it floats to the top. sometimes half of it flows to the bottom and the other half flows to the top. The waste that flows to the top is pure fat. That's fat coming out of your system. Okay? So it said that the mixture is fat, so that's shit.
Yep, the cakes are modeled of mud and fat and allowed to dry in the sun. The only form of sustenance many Haitians can afford after rice and bean prices have risen 100%. One woman, yeah, and you can blame the so-called white man on that. One woman who makes the dirt cakes says, it stops the hunger. You eat them when you have to. The director of the aid agency, Christian Aid, says food is available, but people cannot afford to buy it. If the situation gets worse, we could have starvation in the next 6 to 12 months. Food aid has been delayed. Okay, I should note that the article is dated, what is that, July 27, 2008. All right, so it's kind of recent, you know.
Yeah. They were catching hell long before the quake. I thought that was after the quake, man. So on top of that, to add insult to injury, man, the Most High smacked them with a earthquake, man. So they were really catching hell, man. They went from hell to deeper hell. Now, I did some research and I found out the GDP, which is the gross domestic product of Haiti, I believe, if I remember correctly, is $7 million. Compared to the U.S. GDP is what? $14 trillion. So $7 million is a drop in a chump change to the United States. Now, when that earthquake hit, I think they collected, with all the donations and the concerts and all that, I think they collected, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was something like $350 million plus dollars. So that's many times, I believe that's 50 times the GDP of Haiti. So if they were living on $7 million, now they got 50 times that, or more than 50 times that, they should be able to build up Haiti in no time, right? But none of that money hit Haiti, man. Because the U.S., I believe they made a pledge of sending, through the government, I think it was 137 million, and that's when the earthquake first hit. And you know what, to this day they sent zero. Under the Barack Obama administration. So he has the power to have that money sent because they already made the pledge to help them. So there's a lot of countries that said that they're going to help Haiti and didn't send a goddamn dime, man. So that shows you that this guy, Barack Obama, he's not for black people, man. But you still got these bird-brained niggas praising Barack Obama. And this guy haven't did one fucking thing for you damn stupid niggas. Like I said, going back to what I said earlier, that's why you niggas got to be destroyed. You're not even sensible no more, man. You can't see that this man don't give a fuck about you. Go ahead,
Yep, renowned. While more than 50% of Haitians are undernourished, a new study about the state of the U.S. waistline is even harder to stomach. To see it and a clever way you can help feed the hungry, read more. By the year 2030, most adults in the U.S. will be overweight or obese, according to a new study to be published in July issue of the Obesity Journal. By most, they mean 86%. Healthcare spending is projected to be as much as $957 billion, with $1 in every $6 spent going to obesity-related care. While obesity in the U.S. is now a public health crisis, you can help provide food for people with the exact opposite problem without leaving your computer. The UN World Food Program has a vocabulary game called Free Rice.
Let me say about the World Food Program is fucking bullshit. They ain't helping them Haitians. If they are helping them, they're helping them very little. Alright? It's just like you got a guy caught on fire and you give the guy a goddamn sip of water. That ain't gonna help his ass. All right. So now let's go back to where we left off in Malachi.
Malachi chapter 2 verse 8. But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi.
That's why you catching hell. Because you were set up, you were responsible to keep the law, to pass the law on to Israel. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people.
And you're base. Base means the very bottom. Like if you do some research, you find out that Haiti is the poorest nation, or the poorest nation on the western in the Western Hemisphere. Go ahead.
According as you have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. Have we not all one Father? Have not one power created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother, by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Jerusalem and in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of the Lord, which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange god.
Yeah, now that makes me think about Comfy. Comfy then basically they sold out.
Because he was concerned.
That's why Comfy is teaching that. You know, he sold out the name of the Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and he's a worshiper of the Queen of Heaven, which makes him a Roman Catholic. All right. So Judah's gonna get jacked up too. All right. So now let's go from there to the book of Genesis. We're going to deal with Manasseh now. Let's go to did we hit Deuteronomy 33? Was there anything on Levi on that? I don't know if we hit that. Deuteronomy 33.
Nah, I don't remember. Oh yes, right here.
All right, go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 8. And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou madest prove at Massah, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah, who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children. For they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee, and hold burnt sacrifices upon thine altar. Bless the Lord his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again.
Now go to the top again.
It says, And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with the Holy One.
Now I'm explaining to you what the Thummim and the Urim is. The Thummim and the Urim, so you can best understand, is equivalent to the TV set that you have in your house. It's like a glass that signals come through the air or through a cable, and you can watch shows, you can watch live events. Another example is a computer. When you go on the World Wide Web, you know, you got these wires connected to a cable, and then you can go to a live event on the other side of the world. So that would be equivalent to the Urim and the Thummim. That's the same concept. What the Most High gave Esau with the TV set and the computer, the World Wide Web, is basically the Urim and the Thummim. Because if you committed a sin, the Levite priest would go to the Urim and the Thummim, and they would say that this woman committed adultery, and the spirit will come and give the message, yes, she committed adultery, and they would put that woman to death. So Levi had that power, going back to the spiritual power that they had. They had a spiritual connection with the Most High. So what do? They still have that spiritual power, but they have it on the left-hand side, and they're following the spiritual demon Satan right now. Okay? So with that, we're going to go from there to the Manasseh. And like I said, Manasseh goes hand in hand. All you got to do is go back to the scriptures on Ephraim or Joseph, and it pretty much covers the blessings and the cursings of Ephraim and Manasseh. Now let's go to Genesis 48, verses 8 down to the end, which is the 22nd verse, and we're going to end it on that. Like I said, Manasseh is under the same blessings and cursings pretty much as Ephraim, because they were brothers. Go ahead.
Genesis 48 and 8. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons whom the Most High hath given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, the Most High has showed me also thy seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, The Most High, before whom my father Abraham and Isaac did walk, the power which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his fathers laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. So
this was a spiritual thing, which further proves that we're a spiritual people. Because Manasseh was the firstborn, so he was supposed to get the principal blessing over Ephraim. Because Jacob set it Joseph set it up that way to Jacob, which is now named Israel. So he put his blessings on him, but he put the principal blessing on Ephraim, which was the youngest son. Go ahead.
And also, he also shall become a people, and he also shall be...
Right, Manasseh is going to become great. Go ahead.
And he also shall be great, but truly his younger brother shall be greater than he.
And that's a fact. Because Ephraim, man, they're all over the place, man. Ephraim is all over the place when it comes to music, when it comes to boxing, when it comes to sport. The only thing Manasseh really has that makes him famous is their boxes. All right? And they're just now defecting over here to the United States. But Ephraim done been world champions, man. Ephraim been singers, dancers. You got Ephraim all up in New York and Chicago, down south in California, Alaska, Canada. They're the closest to Judah. So Ephraim truly became greater than Manasseh. Go ahead.
But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
Now, see, these guys go off because you read a verse like that and say he shall become a multitude of nations, and then your feeble mind will say that means there's a lot of other nations out there just out of Ephraim. The word nations means many, 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 many people. Ephraim is so big, it's just like they're not one nation, it's like they're a bunch of nations. Just like Brazil, the tribe of Asher, they're so big, they're like one nation, but they're like a bunch of nations, man. So you guys don't understand the scriptures. You come across the word nations or Gentiles, you think the Gentiles is only talking about people that are not of Israel. You don't understand the meaning of words. Read that again. Because there's no record of Ephraim having children that became another nation. It just means they became so big that they were like many nations. Go ahead.
But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
Didn't I say you have Brooklyn Puerto Ricans? You have Manhattan Puerto Ricans? You got Connecticut Puerto Ricans? You got Chicago Puerto Ricans? You got California Puerto Ricans? You got Puerto Ricans. You got Puerto Ricans all down south. I mean, down south and down there in Puerto Rico. You got Puerto Ricans, like I said earlier. You got Puerto Ricans all up in Canada, man. You got Puerto Ricans that fought in different wars for Esau and then stayed over there in Germany. You got a lot of Puerto Ricans, Ephraimites, should I say, over there in Germany, man. They left their kids, their seed down there, man. In Vietnam. A lot of them Vietnamese children are really Ephraimites. Go ahead.
And he blessed them that day, saying, indeed.
And that's why the word, let's deal with the meaning of words. The word Manasseh means made to forget. The name Ephraim means fruitful. What does it mean by being fruitful? They had a lot of, they're known for having, they make jokes about Ephraim. Now, you always have, every time you turn around, your wife is pregnant. Well, the Most High set it up that way.
Pack them in like Puerto Ricans.
Pack them in like Puerto Ricans. Go ahead.
And he blessed them that day, saying, indeed shall Israel bless, saying, the Most High make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, behold, I died, but the Most High shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow.
Right. So, that's it. Pretty much it on the tribes. Let's go from there to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 36th verse. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Ultimately, that's talking about the Americas. Go ahead. And then that's twofold because it's talking about all the tribes coming to the Americas. If you go back 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, you didn't know what a Brazilian was, or a West Indian, for that matter, even a Puerto Rican. The only ones that was here was really Judah, Gad, and Reuben. So now you got all the tribes here because the Most High said He's going to bring all the tribes together in one place, because He has established the 144,000 and that multitude, which is the 1/3 of Israel that's going to be saved. Now you got more than 1/3 of Israel in the land of America, so you got a lot of our people that's going to die in America. But 1/3 of the Israelites in this society, they're going to make it. Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone.
That's your churches. Go ahead.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations.
Right, like the brother just said, pack them in like Puerto Ricans. Oh, you wearing Puerto Rican colors. Go ahead. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians. There's a joke with 3 guys, an Irish guy, a Jewish guy, and a black guy, and the black guy gets the worst of the joke. Go ahead.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast his fruit. Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee.
So we read about each and every tribe, where they would go and what curses that were going to be on them, because all of them were cursed. Remember it said about Gad, a troop shall overcome him? Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed. Because thou...
See, that's why you got a lot of these women, like the tribe of Ephraim and the other tribe women, a lot of them sneak and marry Esau. That happens big among Ephraim too. You know, you go to some hamlet where they got these $1 million homes, and you'll see a Latin chick and you think she's a maid. She's actually married to that damn Edomite, which might happen to be a doctor, because she's trying to get from around these curses. See, that's what a woman does. They don't understand what's going on. They feel that they're oppressed or cursed, so they'll get with an Edomite because they know the Edomite is being blessed, and they'll actually marry that Edomite, man. That's why we ain't really dealing with no woman. We just this word is for the men. Go ahead.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign, and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Right. So that's how we know that we're the children of Israel, because all these signs was going to be on us. All right. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, and we'll see y'all on the next round. Shalom.
Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1558A, and today's date is May 2nd, 2018, and the title of the episode is Central Banks Make Their Move on Cryptocurrency with Fed Electronic Money. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we know the central banks, they have been pushing and demonizing gold and silver and cryptocurrencies. I know there's a lot of people out there that do not like cryptocurrencies, but the central bankers are completely nervous and afraid of gold and silver and cryptocurrencies because it's another form of money. Even though people don't believe cryptocurrencies is another form of money, it is. And they're very nervous about this. And this is why they've been talking about cryptocurrency being used for money laundering, being used for criminality, being used for everything else, drugs and whatever else you want to come up with. They continually harp on the same exact message over and over and over. Now, what's very interesting is that their entire story is about to fall apart. And they are now pushing a different agenda where they're not going into the crypto market. They're going to be going into something completely different, which is really not completely different. It is pretty much the same that we already have today, but we're going to discuss that in a minute. Let's talk about why their entire story is completely falling apart. The Hong Kong Financial Services and Treasury, the FSTB, they released a report on April 30th on the status of money laundering and terrorism financing. Now, the report concluded that virtual currencies like Bitcoin are not particularly involved in either type of financial crime. The FSTB notes that although there is inherent money laundering and terrorism financing vulnerabilities related to virtual currencies, they're really not being used to push this. What is being used to push this? Oh, that's right, cash. That's what's being used. Now, the report did say that virtual currencies, well, they are used in crypto Ponzi schemes and cybercrimes. Now, they mentioned WannaCry, that WannaCry attack where basically it locked down your system, held it hostage until you paid using Bitcoin. Now, again, once you do this, it is on the ledger. You can track down where this wallet is. You can track down with the address where it has gone. Of course, you don't know the names and things like that. So this type of crime most likely was being pushed out there by intelligence agencies, and they probably took a wallet or something and brought this out to everyone's attention to make it look like at the time it was North Korea, because I think that's where they were pointing the finger. They were also pointing the finger at Russia. Now, you need to understand that because of this report and because of what we've been talking about, we know that cryptocurrencies, once again, it'd be ridiculous to use them in money laundering or terrorism because you can trace everything. Cash, on the other hand, which is used in money laundering and terrorism and other financial crimes, very difficult to trace. So we can see right now that their entire story is completely falling apart. And in a little bit, we're going to discuss why they've been demonizing cryptocurrencies and what they're going to try to make us do. Because we know they've been planning this for a while, and you don't demonize something like this unless you have something that you want to push forward to make everyone look at this instead of that. We see that ADP, they came out and they printed their weakest job gain since November. And this is a very big miss. It's the biggest miss in 7 years. And once again, the job situation is not doing well. Yes, these numbers are manipulated. They've been manipulating them since Obama, actually before Obama, but when we hit the 2008 crisis, they pushed this manipulation really, really hard to make everyone believe that the economy has been recovering, that we're doing well, and nothing has changed. The manipulation is exactly the same as it was before. Nothing has changed whatsoever. What has changed is what the real economy is doing, with the indicators that we've been presenting showing that we're in a recession, or some of them saying that we're headed towards a recession. Actually, some saying even a depression. And we can see from the real economy with retail, GDP, and everything like that, everything is starting to completely fall apart. We're seeing a lot of companies where they're saying their earnings are not there. We're seeing food establishments shut their doors. And we're also seeing automotive dealers saying that, or automotive manufacturers saying that, listen, we need to restructure. We need to change what we've been doing, because what we've been doing is not going to work moving forward. Because again, what they've been doing is they've been selling automobiles by using the subprime people. And those people have been delinquent on their payments. A lot of them have been defaulting, and it doesn't look good. Actually, Ford announced that it's going to hack off a large portion of its business, a move that will make the company 90% reliant on its pickups, trucks, SUVs, and commercial vehicles by the year 2020. The company is targeting $25.5 billion in cost cuts by the year 2022. Now, they're saying this is a restructure. A lot of jobs are going to disappear, and things are not going well. Remember, the smaller subprime auto lenders are starting to implode right now. And the larger companies, they're going to be next, and the whole thing is going to crash. And I believe the auto manufacturers, those that are looking at these signs, are seeing the writing on the wall, and a lot of them are going to cut their costs because they realize what is coming. Just like in 2008, many of the manufacturers, especially GM, didn't realize what was happening, and they just kept on spending, taking out more credit, and before you knew it, Pontiac was gone, Saturn was gone, and basically they shut all of the doors, shut the plants, shut everything. Now in the housing market, we can see that everything is completely falling apart, and we see mortgage rates, well, they have jumped to 2011 levels. Now, this is pretty darn fast. The average interest rate for 30-year fixed-rate mortgages with conforming loan balances of about $453,000 or less, with 20% down, jumped to 4.8% for the week ending April 27th, from 4.73% in the prior week, and from 4.66% 2 weeks ago. This is coming from the Mortgage Bankers Association. At 4.8%, the average 30-year fixed rate is now equal to the highest rate since September of 2013. And the last time the rate was higher than 4.8% was in 2011. At 5.2%, the average mortgage rate will hit the highest level since 2010. 5.5% would take it to the highest level since 2008. Now think about this for a second. Prior to 2008, the interest rates were moving up. When we hit 2008, they were on their way down already, because the Fed already started the domino effect and everything started to fall apart. Here we are, we're approaching the 2008 rate. And believe me, in a couple of weeks, we're probably going to hit it, which means it's going to push a lot of people out of the housing market. So if we look at this, the big difference between 2010 and now, and between 2008 and now, is that home prices have skyrocketed since then in many markets, by over 50% in some markets such as Denver, Dallas, or the 5-county San Francisco Bay Area. For example, according to Case-Shiller, home price index has increased by 25 to 40%, which means these homes are completely unaffordable. Now, put on top of this, those people that have been losing their job, who've gotten other jobs, but they're not high-paying jobs, they're part-time jobs. Many people have 1, 2, 3 part-time jobs, or they found another job, but they're making less money. Other people, they're not getting wage increases like they used to, or basically the company said we're not going to give any wage increases. They can't afford these homes. And again, this is why Fannie Mae is out there, and they have allowed 3% down on a home with no income check. Pretty soon you're going to see 0% down because, again, this is the end game. If we look at the mortgage applications for the week of April 27th, we see they're down by 2.5%. And they're going to continually decline as time goes on because people are being thrown out of the market, which means the housing market is going to fall apart, which it is already. Now, the Federal Reserve, they've been looking at cryptocurrency, and we talked about the report where they're saying that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, they're really not being used in money laundering, terrorism, financing, even though the central banks are out there and the corporate media is out there telling us, yes, they are, which means that's the place you probably should be. Just like gold and silver, it's a barbarous relic. That's where you need to be, because when the system comes down, wherever they tell you not to be is where you need to be, and every place they're telling you you should be is a place where you shouldn't be. Just like they're telling you the stock market's doing great, housing's fine, you should all be in that. And what happened? Think back to 2008. Everything fell apart. Back then they told you don't even touch gold. And then all of a sudden gold started to skyrocket. Yes, they had the ability to manipulate it. But again, this is a central bank system. But again, if you came in earlier than that point of time, even though they had manipulation, you would have purchased the gold at 500, 800, and you still would have made out. What happened was people waited until gold and silver and everything else hit its highs, and then the central bank realized, whoa, we can't let this go up any further. We need some manipulation here. We need to bring this down, and that's what they started to do. And a lot of people bought at the height. Those people that bought at 500, 800, 900, they were like, hey, everything's good. So we can see right now the Fed, they have been demonizing cryptocurrency and gold for a specific reason. Now, the Fed, and we know from last year, they made some headlines saying that they're going to be looking at a cryptocurrency, and they decided, well, maybe we don't need to look at a cryptocurrency. Maybe we should be looking at something completely different, which is actually the same that we have today, but they're making it seem like it is different. Maybe we will create something called the Central Bank Electronic Money for All. And this is coming from the St. Louis Fed. They're saying that this is something that would be easily implemented. The Fed would only need to allow households and firms to open accounts with it, which would allow the central banks to make payments with the Fed-issued electronic money instead of commercial bank deposits. A large part of the population will consider Fed electronic money a close substitute for cash, and this will make it easier to say goodbye to cash. For instance, legislation introduced last week by Senator Kristen Gillibrand calls for 36,000 post offices around the U.S. to add basic banking services such as savings and checking accounts and short-term loans. It aims to reach a still significant number of unbanked and underbanked Americans with an offering similar to that of postal systems overseas. With the bill, the New York Democrat said she hopes to wipe out the so-called payday lenders. Is this really why they're doing it? Most likely not. It looks like they're building this up to usher in the Fed electronic money. Now, this new alternative form of electronic money would have a disciplinary effect on commercial banks. They'd be forced to alter their business models to attract depositors, for example, taking fewer risks or holding more capital, offering higher interest rates. Because again, everything would be flowing through the central bank system, and this would be a Fed electronic money. It has nothing to do with the United States. It's like the Federal Reserve note, but now it's the Fed electronic money. The Fed would be able to set the interest rates on household accounts as its main policy tool. Basically, Fed would have more control over everything. So this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to convince you that gold and silver, cryptocurrencies, they are no good for you. And what we do need is we need something that the Fed can control. Remember, the central banking system, they want everything centralized. They want full control. They don't like decentralization. They don't like it where you can hold physical gold or physical silver because they have no control over that. So the St. Louis Fed went on to say that, listen, central banks just don't want to get into the business of issuing anonymous virtual currency that could be used by drug cartel to launder money. We would rather have a centralized system where we don't have that. And the Fed electronic money would allow people to go to the electronic system, which is just like virtual currency, cryptocurrency, and you won't have to use cash. So you can use your phones, you can use everything else that you've been using, but there'd be no more cash, and this would be electronic money. Well, isn't this really the same thing that we have today? And all they're doing is getting rid of cash? Yes, that's what it is. And the Fed will take more control over everything because they will control the interest rates on the accounts. You would directly get the Fed money from them. I mean, think about what they're trying to do here. They're tricking everybody, making them think that this is just like cryptocurrencies, and that's how they're going to promote it. Don't go with cryptocurrency because it's used by terrorists and money launderers and everything else. Go with the Fed money. It's safe. It's good for you. You don't need cash anymore. And this is what they're trying to push right now. There's always a reason why they come out and they demonize something, because that means their plan is to promote something they have. And that's what they're trying to do. Now, we talked about how the corporate media, they were going to start to basically put up articles to show that the economy is not doing well. It's not as strong as Trump has said, and we're already starting to see this coming out of the Washington Post. The headline reads, "Trump has not made the economy great again." And they went into the GDP numbers, how everything's manipulated, you can't really follow them, and it's just hilarious because we know they're manipulated. Nothing has changed since Obama. So if they're saying it's manipulated now, then it was manipulated during Obama's time. But again, what they're trying to do is they're setting it up because they know eventually they want to point the finger. So already we're seeing the article coming out of the Washington Post and many other publications saying that the economy is not doing as well. And Jason Furman, who was the advisor to Obama, well, he's giving some pointers to basically tell you what the final GDP numbers will be. And he's talking about revisions, how 2.9% isn't real, and this is why it's much lower than that. And he goes back to the same 2 to 2.5% where the economy came in during Obama's reign. Now, basically, those numbers and these numbers, but all of it is the same manipulation. There is no difference whatsoever. What Trump is doing and the Patriots, they are pushing what they've set up, and they're keeping what they set up to push it to the red line, to say this is the system you've been using, we haven't touched it, nothing's changed, and this is the calculations you've been using, and now you're calling us out on the things that you've been doing. Think about what they're doing here, and the reason why they're becoming so desperate to blame this on Trump, because it is time to bring the system down. And we're going to see a lot more of these articles. We're going to see a lot more of the corporate media saying the economy is not doing that well, and it's going to be out there. And of course, then Trump is going to call them on it, and this is where you're going to see the fight out in the open on the corporate media, just like he called out the news, calling them fake news and things like that. He's going to start doing that with the economy now, because he's going to say, well, these are the numbers that Obama used. So you're saying the numbers that he used are fake also, and he's going to trap them. That's basically what he's doing. And this is his entire plan, is to basically control the narrative, and this is what he's been suckering them into, where he can control what is going on and letting people say, well, wait a minute, if they're the same calculations and nothing's changed, was it fake back then and it's fake now? What's going on here? That's what he wants people to start to do, to question all of this. And it looks like we are headed in this way. And we are headed for a transition. They all know it. We know it. The system is being moved from the West to the east. We've been talking about this for a very long time, so get prepared because we're headed in that direction. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And shout out to Akim that's coming out here and teaching this truth. No matter what, no matter how fucking offended these goddamn Edomites are, or any of these other motherfuckers that don't matter because they're the dung of the earth, even though we've been made to be the dung of the earth, now it's starting to come as we're trading places with these pieces of shit, and they're starting to find out they're the dung of the earth. They're the 99%, and we're eventually, all that's going to change to where we're no longer 99%ers. Thus, the greedy 1%, which is Amalek, meaning that Amalek's about to lose his power structure. So they just did another false flag last night, another bullshit, so-called Jewish fucking festival, and it all blew up last night in London, which we know that's a Mossad operation to make you think that the terrorists are coming from Iran because they want their war with Iran. You know, it's now shifting from not just fucking with Syria, but now they're fucking with Iran because Donald Trump's about to pull out of the nuclear deal, which, you know, it's kind of like this. If you've ever dealt with PayFuck or eFuck, aka eBay and PayPal, well then you fucking already know that, man, you don't even fucking get paid because your assets get frozen, you know, but you've already delivered this shit, and then some motherfucker can make a false claim, get the money back, and you lose everything. Happened to me tons of times. Well, that's what the Iran nuclear deal was. You know, they had made the money. Islamic Revolution, 1979, they had already made the money, but that piece of shit, Amalek, the worst of the Edomites, froze their assets, aka sanctioning. So all their assets were sold for every bit of goods, so they struggled for years, all the way to 2015 until the nuclear deal came. Which means that, okay, you know, if you remove the sanctions, because, you know, it was a fucked up deal anyways, they removed the sanctions, if the inspectors could come and make sure that they're not building nuclear weapons, right? But now you got that piece of shit, Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that, oh, Iran lied, that they were making weapons facilities, and we already know where this is going, that Donald Trump is about to make the announcement that they're going to go in to remove Iran's nuclear facilities. And of course he's looking to back out of the deal, you know, because anything made with this devil, Esau, the so-called white man, is a fucked up deal. He always reneges on everything. He fucking, you can't trust him. He's the devil, you know? And so that's what's happening there. And so they're going to invade Iran under false pretenses. They're going to say that, you know, because you've heard Benjamin, not a Jew, that lying piece of fucking shit, say many a times that the terrorists are really coming from Iran. You know, that it's Iran, you know. But no. ISIS was the Israeli Secret Intelligence Services, aka Mossad. And it was set up by the Israeli state in Levant, ISIL, to create this false flag terror group. you know. And so they just did a false flag last night, so it's going to be glued all over the place that, you know, they're going to try to make you believe that, you know, that this attack happened when we know that it's goddamn Mossad. You know, may even fucking be fake. Most shit is fake, but made to look like, because all it is a Hollywood screen. They do this more in the United States than they do overseas in the EU, the beast. But, you know, it probably was real, but we know who did it. We know who did the London City bombing. We know that it's always been a Mossad operation. You know, the Paris attacks, all that shit. Mossad operation. So that's what this is. And so it's just so they can provocate their war as a reason to go into Iran to remove their nuclear weapons and to go after Assad. Of course they still want to go after Assad. They haven't given up on destroying Damascus, because Jeremiah 49 tells us that Damascus will be consumed. You know, shall become a desolate heap. That's the way Isaiah puts it. But pretty much will be confounded, you know. And so, I'm going to read the rest of this chapter here. You know, because what's going on now, you know, is, you know, pretty much Esau's been exposed for everything he tries to do. But we're going to read in Obadiah, verse 11. In that day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. You know, and again, you know, this is talking about Esau's so-called white man, and all those nations that conspired to put us into slavery. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress, because all the nations rejoiced and couldn't wait to get in on that slave trade to buy us. You know, oh, that's another thing, to buy us. Okay, well, you know that there's been a lot of talk about Kanye West and, you know, the fact that he said that slavery was a choice. Okay, it was do or die. Gun pointed at our heads. A lot of people did choose to die. Same thing with the mark of the beast that's coming up. You know, it's a do or die thing. So a lot of us are going to die refusing that mark, and you must refuse this mark. Unless you want to catch the nuclear destruction that's coming, aka the lake of fire. Thou shouldest not enter the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, shouldest thou not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on the substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape, which, that's talking about the northern kingdom that had escaped the Assyrian Empire. They cut us off when that piece of shit, Christopher Columbus, came over here and slaughtered our people, led an onslaught. That's what this part's talking about, which is the northern kingdom. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those that did escape, which is talking about the northern kingdom. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. And so we're closely approaching the day that because of what they had done, now Esau and all the rest of the heathen are going into slavery. But first they're going to be brought into the valley of Jehoshaphat. And we're seeing that, you know. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done. It should be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. And so again, you know, the Most High is hardening Pharaoh's heart, which is Donald Trump, modern day Pharaoh, and of course Benjamin, not a Jew, to make war against Persia and all the rest, which that's going to be the final thing. For as ye have drunken upon my holy mountain, so have all the heathen drank continually, because they have all prospered because of our slavery. You know, every kingdom has been built up all around the world because of our slavery. So shall all the heathen drink continually? Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Because pretty soon, all these nations are going to be beneath us, and they're going to be in myth. It's going to be a myth. It's like we're going to be looking. It's like, is this the man that had led us in captivity? Is this the man? Talking about so-called white men, And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. That's about the northern and southern kingdom. And the house of Esau stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. We're going to destroy every last one of them fucking Edomites, and eventually they're not going to be able to create. We're going to cut off their bloodline, and then the rest of them that are alive we're going to burn up after the 1,000 years of captivity. And there shall not be any remaining in the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain, the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. So again, we're going to get our kingdom back, and all these nations are going to be beneath us, and Esau's going to be cut off forever. And the captivity of the host of children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south, and saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. And have you ever noticed, though, that show Walking Dead, that's what the Negan's group was called, the saviors? Because Esau wants to try to trade places with us, and try to call themselves. That's why you got them Amalekites calling themselves Jews, because they know that their time is short, but they're going to still delude the world into making them think that they're the Jews, when they're the cursed ones. They're the Edomites, they're the Amalekites, they're the 1%. And what's happening is that 99%, which includes Edomites, by the way, the 99% are turning on the 1%. They are fucking sick of goddamn Amalek. The whole fucking world is tired of the whore, Babylon the Great, sticking its fucking nose in their business. And they're going to bring fire upon this place and destroy it forever and ever. But what's also happening is that the central bank is also moving in on the cryptocurrencies. Going to make everything a cryptocurrency. They already had that already, but what they're going to do is they're going to make their move on it, making everything a digital cryptocurrency. Going to crash the whole market. Just like what I explained about what happened with Iran, which another brother had already broken it down. I'm just reiterating what another brother had already put up, because that's what I do is I look at videos, I forward them to the best of my abilities. Even though a lot of times I get taken down, I still try to gather all the meat that I can so I can do this. So what's going to happen is they're going to turn everything over to this cryptocurrency. They're going to, aka sanction, going to cut off all money, just like PayFuck, and you know about eBay and PayFuck, and that they'll freeze all the assets, that no man can buy, sell, or trade unless you receive the mark in your right hand or in your forehead. This is that RFID implant. You won't be able to buy, sell, or trade. That's going to come in the form of martial law. All the houses and all that will no longer be. The government's going to take that over, and they're going to make everyone take the mark. And those that take the mark will be destroyed in the thermonuclear destruction known as the Lake of Fire for taking that mark, especially if you're an Israelite, because the rest of the world can't be saved anyways. Pretty much they're going to be destroyed and consumed by nuclear fire. For Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, has already spoken this, and we're just fulfilling script. We are those prophets of old coming out now, prophesying against Mount Seir. And so what's going to happen is that everything's going to implode by the 3rd week of May, as well as this Iran nuclear deal. And they're going to say that there is no deal, and that pretty much they're going to try to go into Iran to remove nuclear weapons. That's the pretext of attacking Iran, as well as going after Assad, because that's what the deep state, the 1%, Amalek wants. So I hope this has been edifying, and like everything else though, come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and come out here and prophesy while you still can. There isn't much time left. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth with sincerity. And shout out to Yakim that's coming out in the 4 corners of the earth proclaiming this truth in the city of unwalled villages, the valley, and soon to be the valley of Hamon-Gog. Pretty sure of it, which is the burial place, the final place of Esau, Edom, and pretty much, this is going to be the place that's going to be uninhabited except by all evil, birds. That pretty much this place is going to be a desolation. As we now know that, they're provocating regime change in all three: Iraq, Syria, and Iran. Benjamin, not a Jew, not very fucking happy that, Iraq is starting to take back Kirkuk, from the terrorists, which is the YPG. That's their new terrorist group besides ISIS. And then while in Syria, Bashar al-Assad has been making gains also against the terrorist group ISIS, and has evacuated the militants from those areas and has recaptured these territories. So pretty much Benjamin, not a Jew, is losing his grip in the Middle East, and so the terrorists are being driven out, And of course, now Donald Trump's about to make an announcement that he's looking for a regime change also in Tehran, looking to overthrow the Iran government, because Donald Trump is nothing but a stooge underneath the Israeli state in Levant, ISIL. The Israeli state, the Amalekites, at least their flock, is drawing them out into this war. And so pretty much what's going to happen is the central bank is already moving in to crush the dollar. I already talked about that yesterday. And upon that, pretty much everything's going to be replaced with the cryptocurrencies, where you have to have a microchip in your right hand or forehead that you can't buy, sell, or trade. And of course, the government is looking to pretty much take all the houses and turn them into FEMA centers, pretty much. That, and that's how they're going to redistribute the wealth, because they're going to pretty much, put everybody into these detention centers, because that's what they're going to become, and that's what the trains are for, the rail cars, and they're going to gather people up from the cities and going to move them to the bigger FEMA camps. And then the smaller houses that are here in your towns are going to be pretty much the holding facilities until they can get them on the rail cars. That's what's about to happen. So we're seeing this unfold, as, of course, every Tomahawk missile is about at least $2 million, so a whole bunch were shot off, and none of them hardly even made their targets. So, this place is, going to be gathered in the Valley of Yehoshaphat, which is the Valley of Yahweh's judgment, because he's judging all the wicked nations. And so we're going to read out of Zechariah chapter 14. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And who is Jerusalem? We, the prophets on the streets, prophesied. We, the people of Yashala, to battle. And the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. So pretty much, this thing is going to start changing really soon. That pretty much, we're just like I was talking about before, about the rail cars, and the fact that this place won't even be safe to be in the city anymore. And that's how the martial law is going to come in. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. The Most High is going to fight against the nations. That's why they're being gathered together now in the Valley of Yehoshaphat. And his feet shall stand in the day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, which Jerusalem is a people. We, the people of Jerusalem, New Jerusalem, coming down, because he's going to gather us up, and then we're going to come back down with Yahushai. Shall leave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee into the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the day of Uzziah king of Judah, and my God shall come, and all the saints with thee, And so That's what's going to happen, you know. Just like we fled into the mountains, into the Saharas, you know, when Jerusalem was originally captured, the same thing we're going to do here, you know. We're going to, of course, we're not going to hang around the city to be captured. Some of us will be put there. I mean, not all of us are going to escape, but for the most part, we're going to flee into the mountains, you know. That's what this is talking about. But it shall be one day with who shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night. But it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And at the day that living waters shall go out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be the king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one, which we know what the names of, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakal Kadash. And that day shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place from Benjamin's gate, under the place of the first gate, under the cornerstone, and from the tower of Haniel unto the king wine presses. So again, you know, the Most High is going to deliver his people out of this place, Babylon the Great. But before that happens, of course, the day of Jacob's trouble is slowly approaching, you know. As we know that the third week this month, you know, they're going to, the central banks are already on the move to replace everything with cryptocurrencies. And of course, the Petro One is going to be taken off as all these countries, you know, let the weak say I'm strong. All these countries now are divided against Babylon the Great, America, because of course they're tired of it, you know. And even the closest allies that just bombed Syria, France and UK, is saying don't back out of the Iran deal. But of course the Israeli state Levant, the Amalekites are pretty much controlling this whole thing, and they shall hate the whore and make her desolate. Well, the whore is pretty much makes up the force behind Amalek, these Amalekites, these fake-ass Jews, you know. And so they're, you know, staging false flags all around, you know, to gather people to want to go to battle, you know. And of course, you know, the false prophet, Christianity, is going to push that we got to pray for Jerusalem, you know, which is the fake Jews, you know. And that, you know, pretty much that you got to support Israeli state, you know, because that's what the false prophet is there for. That's why, you know, they've been deceiving us. The plantation churches, which is the false prophet, you know. That's why they push up the images of Cesare Borgia, you know, and have been deceiving our people for the longest, but we're coming out of that now. We now know who we were as a people, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and the confusion fixed to be among us. We're the real Israelites, unlike those fake-ass Jews that are over there, those gutter rats that are in Israel now, you know, in the land. But now this place, this land of unwalled villages, is about to be brought to asunder. It's pretty much going to become desolate when she'll be naked and burned with fire. Her nakedness is being shown all over the world. Everybody knows that America has lied about every single thing. You know, pretty much they know that America supports the terrorists. They know that America's behind all the terrorism in the world. That it's the Amalekites, which runs America, pretty much, aka your Illuminati, your 1%, your Rothschilds, Rockefellers. The whole world knows about this. This ain't a secret anymore, you know. You know, it used to be, yeah, you'd see the symbols of the Freemasonry, but now everybody knows who the Freemasons are. Everybody knows. You know, the secret is no longer a secret, you know. They know that these global elites, the Illuminati, are the ones running everything, you know. And people see through this dog and pony show that it's always been. So I hope this has been edifying, and like everything else, proclaim this truth while you still can. Because they will be shutting down the internet very soon, and Jacob's trouble is just right around the corner. Shalom.